Hi, I'm Megan, the bariatric dietitian here at CHA, and today I'm going to be talking about stage 3, the puree diet for after surgery. You will start the puree diet 1 week post-op, and this diet is blended types of foods. You want to make sure that all of your foods are in applesauce consistency. So nice and soft, mashed types of foods. And this is going to allow your stomach to continue to heal after surgery, and also so that it gets adjusted to having food again. So I'm going to take you through each week because you will be on stage 3 for 3 weeks after surgery. So we'll go through one by one. For equipment, you want to make sure that you have a blender at home or a food processor so that you can puree your foods, or there's some other options too if you prefer not to use those, and we'll go through the examples. Other things that you want to have on hand are a food scale if you feel comfortable using that, because you can weigh out your food, or you can use the little cups that you use during stage 2. Some of people also like to use measuring cups, so a quarter cup, half a cup, etc. So sometimes that helps as well when you're measuring out your portions. So let's take it week by week. Week 2 is considered 1 week after your surgery. This is when you're going to be having 2 ounces of food 4 to 6 times a day. And again, this is the puree food. So the thing with this week is you're going to only have protein types of foods. And this is just to start you off to make sure that you're continuing your healing and recovery, and to just start your system off really slowly. So all protein types of foods. 2 ounces, if you wanted to use your cups, you have your 2 cups, so 1 ounce for each one. So your protein foods during this week are things like scrambled eggs, which I usually recommend to start with. It's usually well tolerated. If you find that the yolks are sitting too heavily in your stomach, you could always just do the egg whites to start. You can do puree fish or kind of soft, flaky fish. So a lot of people will like things like cod, tilapia, tuna, salmon, haddock. Those are nice and soft that you can have. And you don't necessarily need to puree them just because they're nice and flaky. You can also do canned tuna. And if you don't like to have canned tuna plain, you can have it with a little bit of light mayo, but make sure it's light mayonnaise and not the full fat mayonnaise. Other proteins you can have are pureed chicken or turkey. And you want to make sure that you cook your chicken or your turkey first and then add it to your blender with a little bit of liquid. Some people like to do canned chicken. If you choose to do a canned chicken, make sure that you get the one in water. So you don't want to get anything in oil, because then it will be too high in fat. Other proteins are things like fat-free refried beans, pureed tofu, yogurt. Of course, we always have our Greek yogurt, pureed cottage cheese, blended ricotta cheese, and then of course your protein drink. So I always think that having your protein supplement during this time this week is a good backup to make sure that you're getting all of the protein that you require. And you want to eat, again, 4 to 6 times a day. So you break it up. You might have 2 ounces of, say, scrambled eggs in the morning, and then you're drinking your fluids in between your meals, because you want to make sure you're not eating and drinking at the same time. And then your second meal might be some 2 ounces of a pureed fish or flaky fish. Afternoon, you might have more fluids, your protein drink, and in the evening you might do another 2 ounces of, say, let's say pureed chicken. You may need more often, so you may eat 6 times a day, or you may be okay with the 4 ounces. You really want to make sure that you're listening to your body and you're going very slowly whenever you eat. So that's your first week, just the protein foods. Week 3, the following week, is 3 ounces of food. So you can use your 3 cups here, or again, you can use your food scale if that's easier for you. But this week, we're going to start to make some mini meals. You can start to combine protein plus a puree, fruit, or vegetable. So I would say do 2 ounces of your protein food plus 1 ounce of a fruit or vegetable. Again, mini meals. We're working on still eating 4 to 6 times a day, and you're spacing your fluids in between your meals 30 minutes apart from when you last ate. You want to try to aim for about 64 ounces of water if you can, or fluids throughout the day. It's really important to stay hydrated. Your protein choices are going to remain the same during this next week, but now you can add that pureed fruit or vegetable. So some examples of the pureed fruits would be things like pureed banana, pureed peaches, pears, apricots, melon, nice and soft, easy to mash down types of fruits. For the vegetables, again, same thing. We want to try to have ones that are nice and mashable. They don't have a lot of fibrous, stringy pieces on them, no tough skins. So things like pureed carrots, spinach, pureed mushrooms, pureed green beans. Those are all some examples of the vegetables that you can include. So for your sample meals, you might do 2 ounces of scrambled eggs in the morning plus 1 ounce of pureed spinach, or 1 ounce of mashed banana. And then say the next meal you do 2 ounces of pureed chicken, 1 ounce of pureed green beans, and so forth. And again, still making sure, like I said, getting the 64 ounces of fluid spaced out in between your meals. The last week of the puree stage is week 4, and like you guessed, it's going to be 4 ounces of food total, if you can. There's no pressure to try to rush up to these amounts. If you still need to have a little bit less, I want you to make sure you're listening to your body. So this week, it's still going to be your 2 ounces of protein, and then you have 2 ounces of either a fruit, a vegetable, or a starch. So we're adding in some starches as another option this week. So your starches to choose from are things like pureed peas, sweet potato mash, regular mashed potato, puree beets, and then some people really like to have oats or cream of wheat that you can blend up. So if you feel that you can eat a little bit more protein, you could do 3 ounces of protein and then 1 ounce of the fruit or vegetable or starch. So it's kind of up to you and see how your body feels during this week. But you could do, for example, 2 ounces of pureed turkey and 2 ounces of pureed mashed potato. So you can kind of decide and see what works best for you. Your fluid, you still want to try to get the 64 ounces, and again, you're spacing in between meals. You may or may not want your protein supplement anymore. Some people do, some people don't. It's kind of up to you. If you're meeting your needs through your food, probably don't need your protein drink as often, but it is a good backup. Few things to remember: make sure you're taking your bariatric multivitamin and your calcium every day. That's really important. You will soon be able to switch to a capsule multivitamin because you're almost a month post-op at this point, and that might feel better for you, but you want to make sure you're taking it every day. The other thing too is making sure you're eating really slowly, you're chewing your food. I know it's still the puree, so you won't need to chew as much, but it's good practice just to make sure you're thinking about it. After you finish your puree diet, you move to soft foods for the next 2 weeks after, and then you can start to include more crunchy types of foods. So that is stage 3, and I know it's a lot of detail, but it'll be worth it just to continue to expand on your variety of food.